energy forecast for Friday, March 22nd. Okay, so today we have the moon in Leo energy going void, of course, at 2:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're locking into Virgo energy at 3:42 a.m. again Eastern Standard Time. So the transition from Leo energy to Virgo energy is always felt because, of course, we're heart-led, heart-charged, passionate, excited, definitely wanting to put ourselves out there. There's a boldness, a bravery, a courage that comes with the moon in Leo. But the Virgo energy, of course, is a mutable earth sign, which means that, again, the mutable energy wants us to take a good look at some information, some details, to really enforce where it is that some change, some adjustment is definitely needed. But the Virgo energy, of course, Mercury rules over the Virgo energy. It is an earth sign, but ruled over by the mental plane ruler. This is a good time for us to take a good look at our physical realm, to change our mind about it, to get a visual in our mind space and manifest from that particular visual. We also have to keep in our, I'm going to say, back burner-ish zone that we have to focus on the problems with this Virgo energy. Why? Because the Virgo energy has the solutions. We can fix, heal, repair any type of issue with this Virgo energy, but we have to feel it in order to heal it. We have to be aware of the problem, the conflict, the tension, in order to actually give it the focus, the mental attention and energy needed in order to flip the script and see where we can change, where we can adjust, where we can make things better. Let me also just say that the Virgo energy has us creating order out of the chaos, has us really wanting to kind of tidy up our environment. And again, just a reminder that your environment is a direct mirror to your intermental state. And that is a good indicator, because if you take a look around, take a look at your, let's call it, messiest room in the house, well, that is very symbolic to what area of your life, what part of your brain is having the most difficulty organizing your thoughts, really kind of gaining some clarity. And so the moon in Virgo wants to put things back in their spot, wants to create order, wants to create function out of the dysfunction, out of the craziness, out of the chaos that we've been sitting in, especially seeing as we just closed the door on Pisces season. And again, Pisces season, Virgo energy, they are opposite energies, opposite signs. So now that we are in a fire sign, Aries season, in a brand new chapter, in a brand new cycle, we definitely have some things to rearrange, to restructure, to reorganize, to revise, to re-edit. And if you're wondering why all those words are coming up, it's because Mercury, who rules over the Virgo energy, is already in his pre-retrograde shadow period, where things are about to slow down just a tad, where we have to rethink, revisit some ideas, revise some things, restructure, redesign, reorganize our thoughts and therefore our physical realm to mirror back what it is that we've already arrived at in our mental plane. So we definitely have a transition going on with that particular energy. And we also have to keep in consideration that Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger, is at the very last degree of Aquarius energy, preparing to shift into Pisces energy at 7:48 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here today. So there's always an increase in pressure. There's always this like critical crisis moment when we're at the ending of a particular zodiac sign. And of course, that Aquarius energy had us all up in our headspace trying to figure out what we could do better, where we could improve, what we could adjust in our lives in order to actually make our physical realm not only look good, but feel good and be in alignment with this new version of self. So there is going to be a little bit of pressure on our mental plane in order to kind of, figure out a vision, a goal, a dream that we are now striving to pursue. And once we dip in that Pisces energy, it's a totally different ball game. So again, I'm going to recommend that you take a listen to the astro forecast that I put out for this particular event. I'm going to recommend that you download your Aries season e-guide if you haven't already. Flip to this particular, let's call it shift in energies, capture what is going on for you over the next couple of weeks with Mars now moving into the mutable water energy of Pisces as he attempts to kind of complete his particular cycle through the zodiac wheel. So with all that being said, there are 10 different aspects taking place here today. 8 of them are going to involve the moon. Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves in this Aries energy, going to make a positive interaction with Uranus, the great awakener, in this Taurus energy right out of the gate. We love this because Uranus is the higher form of our intelligence. It's kind of where we connect to some complex ideas, to the vision, to the goals, to the dreams that we're downloading from our higher selves. Mercury rules over the lower level part of our intellect, connecting to our ego, where we are very dependent on bringing information in from our physical realm, kind of computing it, forming thoughts and ideas and opinions about it, and again, where we communicate and express those thoughts and opinions outwardly. This particular interaction, because it's a positive one, is likely going to bring in a lot of insight, a lot of clarity, a lot of aha moments, a lot of epiphanies on specifically what we need to change in our physical realms in order to actually align with a new path, a new direction, in order for us to bring new ideas, new inspiration, new goals, new visions to life. So this is a huge download of energy, huge download of clarity that hopefully will make sense, kind of more instantaneous than this long, prolonged, trying to piece things together type of thing. With Mercury now in his pre-retrograde shadow period, again, there is a little bit of a slower pace taking place in our mental plane where we aren't so pressurized to kind of choose or decide or make a decision of some sort to aggress ourselves towards this new vision, goal, or idea. But there is a level of inspiration and creativity that's now coming forth with these little blips of information, of details that we've been lacking. It's really going to help us paint the greater, grander picture of what it is now that we have to do, what it is now that we have to pursue, especially with rearranging, restructuring our physical realms. The moon in Leo energy is going to sit across from Mars. Again, in this Aquarius energy, Leo energy, Aquarius energy sit across from each other in the zodiac wheel. This is the last aspect that the moon in Leo is going to make before going void, of course, and shifting into that Virgo energy, which makes a whole lot of sense, seeing as Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger, is in the final degree of Aquarius energy as he prepares to shift into Pisces energy later on in the day. And so an opposition between our emotional realm and I'm going to say our physical energy levels, our inspiration, our passion, our desires, even our anger, likely going to trigger some agitation, some restlessness, ants in our pants. We're feeling a little bit frustrated because, of course, Mars in Aquarius energy wasn't given a whole lot of time, a whole lot of opportunity to make big moves because, of course, we were all up in the intellect trying to create a new vision, new goal, new dream for us to be inspired, excited, passionate enough to actually pursue said goal, visions, or dreams. We're cultivating the spark, the fire, the flame within us. And at this particular point in time, because of this opposition, we're just feeling the tension, the conflict, the ants in our pants, the restlessness, a little bit more than normal. The impulse, the urgency that we are currently experiencing of wanting to take action and make moves and kind of get on with the show, so to speak, really kind of grinding our gears at this particular point because, of course, there are no steps to take at this present moment. So this is definitely going to apply the pressure in our heart space, making us realize what it is that we are anxious to jump into, what we are excited to pursue, what we are inspired to now bring to life, and what we're motivated and determined to actually see through. 2:35 a.m. again Eastern Standard Time, the moon is going to go void, of course, and we're sitting in that until 3:42 a.m., at which time we see the moon shift into this Virgo energy. 5 a.m., the moon in Virgo is going to make an awkward interaction with the North Node in Aries energy. Again, that's our soul path, that's the destiny point, that's the path we got to get on to reach our soul's potential, our soul's mission. We have big events coming up with the nodes of the moon for this eclipse season. But at this particular, let's call it juncture point, the moon in Virgo is stepping back to observe what it is that we've been doing with our damn selves up until this point. Again, we have to kind of take a lay of the land. We have to kind of observe where it is that we're at, identify what area of our life is crazy, is chaotic, needs to be stabilized, needs to be organized. We have to focus on the absolute problem. And the problem at this particular juncture that the North Node is bringing to our attention is that we don't know how to move on. We don't know how to move forward. We don't know how to initiate the first step. And that's okay. We have to identify where it is that we're feeling confused over these things in order for us to fix them, repair them, heal them, resolve them. The moon in Virgo then going to make a tough interaction with Pluto. Pluto is the great transformer himself. He is in Aquarius energy. What I love about the Virgo energy is that we do a deep dive in the mental plane where our programming, our conditioning is concerned, but we like to kind of stay on the egoic level with the Virgo energy. The Plutonian energy, on the other hand, takes us on a deep dive in the psyche where the initial seeds got planted with the programming, with the conditioning. And of course, he is in Aquarius energy, trying to think of a vision, a goal, a dream that we could absolutely start manifesting. That, of course, is going to include the improvements that we have to make in order to do better and therefore be better. And so emotionally speaking, the mental plane and the heart space about to go through a huge pressurized system, a huge intensity with Mr. Pluto there taking us on a trip down the darker form of memory lane, so to speak, illuminating for us where it is that we're having mental blockages, where we're kind of banging our head against a wall, trying to come up with a solution, trying to gain clarity. Of course, none of that feels good, but it's absolutely necessary in order to identify where the problem is, in order for us to identify where the most mental energy, time, focus, attention is needed. And you best believe that this is going to show us where it is that we're missing some information, where it is that we need a little bit more clarity in order to actually paint the bigger, greater, grander picture of what needs to change, what needs to transform, where it is now that we have to pour our time, energy, and attention into in order to make this major transformation, not only in our inner realm, but in our physical realm as well. Shortly thereafter, the moon in Virgo going to make a very tough interaction with the sun in Aries energy. And if you remember, just yesterday on the 21st, we had the sun and Pluto pop off. That was a renewal energy, kind of restored our hope, our faith, some physical energy as well, some inspiration, some motivation. We were realizing where it is that our ambition is coming back, where it is that we do have set goals that we do want to pursue. Now the moon and the sun coming together in a very tough energy. Earth energy, fire energy doesn't work so well together, because here's the thing. If you apply too much earth, which is logic and practicality, which is, we're talking about like a lot of the bare basics of our physical realm. If we add too much earth to a campfire, we're going to snuff that flame, that fire out. That's that Aries energy that the sun is in. However, if there's not enough logic and practicality, willpower and discipline being added to the creative thoughts, the creative ideas, the passion, the desire that we're now trying to cultivate within us, that fire is going to burn the whole damn forest down. So we do have to balance these energies out. This is a tension point, a conflict point. Anytime that the moon and the sun are coming together in any kind of interaction, there's a new emotional awareness, a new aha moment on what we want, we need, we desire, what we have to pursue, what we have to do. And this is coming out of tension, of conflict, of just not feeling where it is that everything is light and fluffy and going according to plan. And again, may I remind you that the moon in Virgo, the whole point of the moon in Virgo is to identify the problems so that we can fix them. And so there is going to be a new awareness on where it is that there is an issue that does require a lot of mental focus, mental energy, mental attention in order for us to fix it and resolve it. And so this is definitely going to illuminate for us where it is that now we have to kind of orient to this particular kerfuffle in our lives in order to bring it into a certain sense of stability and order. And again, fixing, repairing, resolving whatever emotional issue is front and center. The moon is then going to interact with Chiron, the wounded healer, and then Mercury, the ruler of the mental plane. And if you remember, we just had this beautiful Mercury-Chiron conjunction. I did a whole astro rant, forecast, class, whatever you want to call it, over on my Patreon. So even if you want to jump over to Patreon as a free member, you're going to be able to sample a couple minutes of that rant. And of course, if you want the full meal deal, you'll have to become a paid Patreon in order to access all of that content. But we're in a beautiful window of opportunity for the next couple of, I'm going to say weeks, when realistically it could be months, where we get to flip the script on our pain and our wounds and our narrative and our dialogue. And I would really recommend that you kind of unpack a lot of those topics and themes that I talked about in that astro rant, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for us to kind of rewrite where it is that we're coming from and now rewrite the karma, the path, the destiny that we're about to walk into. But I digress. The moon in Virgo, first interacting with Chiron, is definitely going to have us in a situation where we're hella judgy. We're definitely judging ourselves. We're very harsh when it comes to picking ourselves apart and beating ourselves up and breaking ourselves down. We are criticizing ourselves. We are definitely looking at this new version of self, not through the best lens, not through the kindest of eyes, let's say. Instead of really giving ourselves credit where credit is due, we're kind of, I'm going to say, bullying ourselves, giving ourselves some tough love life lesson energy at this particular point in time. Definitely criticizing and critiquing ourselves, what we could do better, where it is that we're just, I'm going to say, in our own perspective, just not living up to where it is that our full potential is definitely currently sitting at. The moon then interacts with Mercury. Mercury rules over the Virgo energy that the moon is in. Mercury, again, in Aries energy. This is our heart and our head not on the same page, likely because the moon, our heart space in Virgo energy, is here to identify the problems and fix them, while Mercury, being in this Aries energy, really doesn't care about that. We just want to take action, make moves, and think about the consequences later. We want to start something new. We want to dive into something fresh. We want to clean the slate. And of course, the moon in Virgo is far too responsible for that to happen. We have to pump the brakes, kind of be the Debbie Downer, be the adult of the situation, so to speak, and recognize where it is that we have to resolve some emotional issues before we can go ahead, get the party started, bring new ideas to life. The moon is then going to make a positive interaction with Pluto. So here we have these two interacting again. This is definitely a better vibe than it was earlier in the day, but we're making some headway. We're making some progress. We understand where it is that we have a negative ass narrative, especially when it comes to ourselves, where it is that we have to flip the script on the inner dialogue to be a little bit more encouraging and supportive and empowering instead of beating ourselves up and breaking ourselves down all the time. And this is the major shift in our mood and our attitude and our, I'm going to say, ability to dissect where it is that we adopted this negative ass narrative from. Again, very much about the topics and themes that we covered between Mercury and Chiron, that particular conjunction. Take a deep dive into that. 7:48 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Mars is shifting into that Pisces energy. You best believe, I'm going to put money on it, around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, collectively speaking, we're all going to get a little bit sleepy. We're all going to get a little bit lazy. You're going to find yourself all curled up in a ball, so to speak, looking for comfort, looking for sleep, looking to probably stuff your face and, you know, really fill those emotional wounds up with all of that, I'm going to say, yucky food, because you're not looking for healthy food. You're definitely looking for processed food at this particular point in time. We are definitely going to feel that shift, especially because Mars, of course, he rules over our physical energy. And in Pisces energy, it feels like we're 500 pounds trying to run underwater. So that is definitely going to be a major shift in energy that we're going to need to kind of adjust to over the next couple of days. Again, please listen to the Astro Forecast and download the Aries Season e-guide to understand this particular shift just a little bit better. The last thing that we have going on here today is the moon in this Virgo energy, making a positive interaction with the North Node in Aries energy. So you may kind of remember this was the very first aspect that we had pop off with the moon in Virgo, but it wasn't as nice as this particular interaction. Earlier on in the day, of course, we were focused on the problems, focused on the blockages, focused on where it is that we didn't have enough information, didn't have enough clarity in order to make a plan to actually move forward. And we were kind of sitting in the confusion at that particular point in time. But now, towards the end of the day, we have definitely figured out what needs our time, energy, and focus, what is broken, what needs to be fixed, healed, repaired, what we have to do better, where we have to get more organized, put more energy into creating order than putting energy into creating chaos. And because this is a positive interaction, there should be some kind of indicator on where it is now that we are formulating a plan to take a step to move forward, to understand what we have to fix, clear out, resolve before we can actually initiate on something new. And all of these aha moments, as small as they may be, because again, reminder, Virgo energy needs to focus on the smaller details that make up the greater, grander whole. Because again, what you do in the run of your day, what you focus on in your mental plane, the habits that you have are either going to make or break your success. And so this is a prime example of figuring out the smaller details of our mental plane, of our emotions, of our actions, of our environment that potentially could be adjusted, could change in order to support us in actually moving forward.